This is Riley Mead reporting from the Wellington Historical Society for the Oral History Project. I am with two instrumental figures of Wellington, John Herring and the returning Denis Quinlan, here to talk about their early experiences in Wellington. So can both of you briefly tell me who you are and how you came to Wellington?
Well, I'm John Herring, and I came to Wellington in September of 1977. I think there was about 800 or 900 people here at that time. And moved here because it was a growing community, and I was starting a business, and I wanted to know the builders. So I moved to ask everybody in the county, where's the best place to go? And I manufacture trusses and for houses, and said, Wellington's the place to go. So that's where I went, and bought a townhouse here, and started my family here back in September of '77.
You've been here ever since?
Been here ever since.
The property management.
Right.
Not property management, but the homeowners.
The Homeowners Association. Gould, Florida at the time, who Denis was with, was not only a customer, but became good friends. Gary Stribling and all of them.
Yeah.
It was, and I was a young man, so I was easily coerced or promoted or asked to join certain things. But would you do this? And of course, sure. And I'd love to learn about it and watching this cool place get developed. So in the very beginning, I was got involved with the youth. Thought it was important because there was a whole lot of kids. The very first involvement was through the Rotary Club. And that was the first thing that we had met, and I wanted to get to know the people and get to know what's out here. So we met every Tuesday for about a year and a half, and then we got our charter. And then they asked me to be the first president, so I said, well, I guess I've never done it before, so I can't mess up too bad. And became the first president, and met some early Frank Gladneys and some really good people who were really cool people. Then, old Frank was quite a guy. And he used to be head of the union for the railroad. He was retired, and an older gentleman. He kind of took me under his arm and told me what I should do and shouldn't do. And he was part of the Exchange Club. And so you get to know more and more people and get involved a little bit more in different things. And then,
when did the Rotary Club, when did that form relative to the development of Wellington?
boy,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't remember the date. I gotta think back.
The development started in '72, but it would have been around '78.
I was going to say we probably in '78.
We had just built the office, which is now the public offices.
Right. It was one of the first. I think the Exchange was about the same time.
And what was the Exchange?
Exchange Club is another similar to Rotary, just a different, like Kiwanis. There were several organizations in Royal Palm, so I think they started to come over. But I do believe Wellington Rotary Club was the first in Wellington.
The Wellington, the welcoming group, the welcome club.
Well, yeah.
Was also there. They were part of a statewide organization.
Welcome
They
wagon.
would go to people's houses and welcome them with, various.
Yeah, I don't know if the welcome wagon is around too much. Back then it was a welcome wagon.
Yeah.
And you went with goods and food and said, welcome to the community.
Now we've grown a lot.
Yes, they'd be very busy today. Yeah.
And so both of you are from very different areas. How did that parallel to these organizations? They're all made up of different people from different areas.
That was Wellington, it was a melting pot because everybody was new to the area. There was nothing here when I came in '72. We were just extending Forest Hill and building the lake, digging the lake, not building it. And so there was nobody living here except C. Oliver Wellington had been living here. I mean, I'm not year-round, but whenever he came to the property, he lived out on Flying Cow Road in a small little.
And there was no people.
And he had a plane as well.
Starting from scratch.
You know that's how the name Flying Cow came about.
Yes, you told me that before.
It's the Oliver Wellington Flying Cow. And that's how I got into the Aero Club after that. Once I got into Rotary, because it was a young community, and I was a young guy in my 20s, and this was all new and exciting to me.
Yeah, you
Starting
wanted to know
business.
everybody in the
Get to know,
new
I had a
area.
business to build, and I had a reputation to build, and I wanted to be where the builders were. I wanted them to come knock on my door. It had to be those and guys that were, around here, and if they had a problem, come tell me, and I'll fix it, and we'll go from there. And very energetic, and it was interesting at that time. But after that, once you get in the Rotary, then you get to know people, and people ask you to do different things. And when you went to, we didn't have grocery stores here. We had to go down Lake Worth Road to get groceries. And that was a little jaunt.
Yeah.
And then when we built the first Winn-Dixie, which is where the Ultimate Fitness is, that was the first one, and I was involved with that with Mr. Black.
Yeah.
Remember Alan?
Alan, he's
Yeah.
in Australia.
Yeah, he was quite a character. So you get to know the different people, and then you see the grocery stores. And when the grocery store first opened up, I couldn't go in to get milk and bread, and I would run into him or Frank or somebody. You knew everybody.
Yeah.
Because you literally would see him there at 5 o'clock on the way home.
My story about the grocery store is that we were being acquired while it was being built by Gould, which was a high-tech company out of Chicago. And so they sent all their people down from Chicago to vet and see if it was really as good as their president thought it was. And we each had to do our tour. Gary Stribling took a group, and I took a group. And I brought them around the route that I used to use to try and get builders to build and show them what the future would be. And I ended up outside of Winn-Dixie. And, to us, this was heaven. You get a grocery store like Johnson. And I said, this is our first grocery store. It's about to open. Would anyone like a tour? And I thought, God, high-tech guys, I'm asking them if they'd like a tour of a grocery store. 81, I think it was.
Yeah, it was in the early parts.
Yeah.
And I heard they're going to build all these neat fountains out front and all these neat things and how much they were costing. So I said, I need to get to know these guys. Now, at the time, I was on the Acme board.
Yeah.
And what was the Acme board?
The Acme board, well, Dennis, you tell them what the Acme board
Well,
is.
the Acme Drainage District, C. Oliver Wellington set up a drainage district when he bought the property, about 10,000 acres in the 50s. And he made it was a quasi-public group, so that it could charge property owners, etc., for the services. But initially he used the money that he floated for that, the bonds, etc., to drain the property, because a lot of it was swamp, and some of it were trees and what have you. And then he turned parts of it into areas that were leased out to farmers and what have you after the drainage. So it was called Acme Drainage District. And speaking of funny things, Stribling came back to me one day and he said, I was at a meeting and he was part of the Acme board, and he said the meeting was to find a new name, a better name for Acme Drainage District. And I said, what did they change it to? And he said, Acme Improvement District. They had a name.
Not much improvement.
They're still Acme, you remember the Acme.
Yeah. But anyway, that was the drainage district was set up and kept. It's still in existence, actually.
See, it's the governing body and the taxing district under it. You look at any tax bill, you still get a bill from Acme Improvement District. And it was controlled by the developer, correct?
Yeah.
And they were responsible to the state for the drainage and the water and that stuff.
Yeah, and it was the first step to really development.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And therefore, there was a governing body, which was their board, and they would tax as houses would get going, and then where's the taxes go for this and that, and maintain the roads and maintain the drainage. And I was appointed to go on the Operations Review Committee, which basically was their finance committee. And I learned a lot, because I learned all about how to finance and how to do budgets and what we do here. And I was on there for quite a while, and then they asked me to sit on the board when the chairman was, Mr. McCormick was resigning, or retiring, I think is a good word. And from there, I sat on the board, and because I knew a lot of how the operations worked. And then we started to go into the discussion of becoming a village. And that's where Ken Adams came in, and the discussion. And I was in charge of trying to find out a budget of how much bullets cost, and how much is a gun, and how much is a holster, and should we really have our own deputies or, you know, police force. And I did a lot of the comparisons of the two, and said, no, go with the county, and kind of did all that stuff, which was, you know, I'm not a finance guy, but I'm more of an engineering type.
Yeah, but it was interesting to play a part in it.
It was very interesting. And of course, when somebody asked me, I was okay, I guess. And so then I...
Being very modest.
I know.